it's your girl Barbie J here, and we are talking about the season finale of Queens, Season 1, Episode 13, 2022. That's right, that means we are in present day now on Queens. No more going back. They might do some flashbacks, we don't know. But also, as of today, Queens has not been canceled, nor has it been renewed for another season. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping it does get renewed because we did get to see a flashback. I'm not a flashback, but we did get to see Eve on screen. So I thought she was going to come back and they tricked us, but anyway, we'll see what's going to happen with that. But before we get on with this episode, because we know it was a good episode, it wasn't great, but it was really good. And it did leave us with a little cliffhanger, 2 cliffhangers to be exact. So now, if you have not subscribed to my channel as of yet, please take a moment right now and hit that little subscribe button. That's right. And then hit the notification bell and select all. And it'll let you know every time I upload any new content or videos. And then I ask that you write a comment, hit the like button, and share the video. Okay? So that's subscribe, comment, like, and share. That's all I ask for this new year. We in 2022, y'all. All right now. So let's get on with this show. So it starts off with Naomi, Valeria, and Jill. They in that little warehouse space they have, and they're standing in a circle just rapping and stuff, and they're thinking about getting back together. But of course, it's not going to feel right unless Brianna's there. So Brianna is not there. They're still considering it. And while they're in that circle, we find out that Valeria has decided to go back on that tour. And so Jill asks her, is Thomas going to go with her? And she said no real quick. And Naomi's like, yo, what's up with that? And she's like, we're through. They basically are through. She couldn't go through with wanting to have a baby. She just was like, I can't do it. And she said, and he said he was cool with it. He was mature, said he was cool with it, but she didn't want him to resent her for the rest of the life, the rest of her life, with them together. So she said they cried and they loved each other and everything, but basically they ended it. So I was like, okay, I guess that was very mature, both of them, because he wants kids and she really doesn't. And she wasn't willing to do the sacrifice. How could she ask him to sacrifice? So that was that. Then they show Eric is telling JoJo that he wants to ask Naomi to marry him. And JoJo is like, okay. He wanted to know if she's cool with it. Basically, he wanted her blessing. He said he wanted to make this family 100% real. It's like mom, dad, let's just make it a family. And then she was like, okay, great. And she called him dad, of course. And then Naomi comes in and he hides the ring because he had the ring out there. It was funny because she said, you didn't try to get this you didn't steal this from Jadakiss, did you? He's like, stop playing, or borrow money from Jadakiss for it. She was snapping on him, but he was like, stop. Okay. But anyway, it switches to Jill and Lauren at the college, because Muffin performed over there doing her new, she rapping about reforming criminal justice and stuff. And only 20 people showed up to hear her. And after the show, there was a few of them, they asked if she'd help them with their cause because they were saying how she was acting like she didn't want to. And they said, well, are you really about changing a system or just posturing on stage about it on stage? And I was like, oh, no, they didn't. So she met with them and they produced some papers, folded to her with some guy that's about to get executed in a few days. And he was fighting. He shot somebody in self-defense and they're trying to kill him, execute him. And they said she has a voice and they want her to use her voice. So she decides to help them, which I enjoyed that part of the episode. All the stages she went through and the things that Lauren went through to try to save him. To try to save this kid. And we left that was part of the cliffhanger because we don't know if it helped or not. Then they switched to Naomi and Eric. They were out on a date and he's being real romantic and stuff. And Naomi's like, he's up there sweating during the lunch. She said, what is wrong with you, And he said, look, listen, they outside now, that is. They outside walking. And he said, let's sit down for a minute because he ready to pop the question. He had it all set up. That's why he's nervous. And she asked for his jacket because it's cold and he don't want to give it. She said, I know you're not going to sit here and not give me the jacket. He said, look, let me just say something for a minute because the ring was in it. So he couldn't give her the jacket while the ring, and it was a little short, little leather jacket. So he's saying his little speech and her phone rings and it's JoJo, and she ignores it. She hits it, the button, ignore it. And then she called back again. So she said, if JoJo called twice, that means it's important. She said, excuse me. And that's when you hear JoJo upset on the phone. And she's like, what's up, what's up, what's up? And they rush home and find out that she was hit with a process server, met her outside and served her papers that they want a DNA test because Cameron want to check and see if he thinks that JoJo is his child. Remember that episode when they ordered their hamburger or something the same way with the same stuff on it? So he did confront Naomi. They never showed us that, but he confronted Naomi, asked her, was the kid his? And she said no. And she said she told him what she believed in her heart. And Eric was upset. How could you do that? Tell her she's mine when you don't know for sure. And is it a possibility? She said, I guess it is now. And JoJo was upset with her and didn't want to speak to her anymore for a while. You know how kids get. And she wasn't speaking to anybody, but she did go and speak to Muffin. And Muffin laid it down to her, which was really cool. I like some of the things Muffin was saying. And she said, the truth is, you don't have to. You're an adult now. And if you don't want to submit to that DNA test, you don't have to. He can't force you to do it. She said, you didn't know about who your dad was for 20 years. Now you got Eric. Isn't that what it's all about? And she thought about it. And the truth is, I knew JoJo was going to go this way. She wanted to really know who her dad was. So she submitted to the DNA test, and Eric went with her, which was cool. In the meantime, Lauren had been looking into Ronnie Mills' file that those kids had given her. And on his 18th birthday, he shot somebody, it says, and now he's on death row. And he hasn't been able to get a new trial. And he's now 28 years old. And she found some discrepancies, which should have helped in his case, and his attorney had gotten disbarred like 10 months after working with him, and I guess this guy Ronnie never got anybody else to help him. So Lauren is sharing this information with Jill and Naomi, and they're excited that she's going to help him, but she's like, I'm not sure. Is it if it's the best thing for me, my career, to put what's left of my name behind a convicted murderer? And Jill is telling her, you might feel worse if you had a chance to do something and didn't do anything. And that is true. That is true. Some people do feel that way. But while they're talking about it, Eric walks in saying he just got off a really strange call. And Lauren jumps in and says, what? Jada Kiss thinks he's JoJo's father too? I was dying. Valeria was laughing. And Naomi's like, really? And Eric's like, oh, it's like that. So it was funny. I thought it was funny. But he said Chuck D, who's on the board of the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, said they want to induct the nasty bitches. And they are like, what? They so excited because they sold over 4 million records, the only hip hop female group. And they wanted to do it right then and there. And the ceremony is in a week. And they're like, why is it such short term? But they're like, you got to get ready. But they said it don't feel right without Bree. So Naomi texts Bree in Costa Rica, and she texts back, I'm in. So I was so excited. I said, we going to get to see Brianna. Because we were like, we know she's coming back. Well, we all know in real life she's on maternity leave. But anyway, what else happened? Lauren decides to go visit Ronnie Mills in prison. They don't really know what to say to each other, but then they click on something and they're talking, and she learns that he's basically at peace now with dying. He tried, he was hoping, he said, over 9 years for somebody to come forward and help him in some kind of way. But, he's okay. And that bothered Lauren, which caused her to make a statement on the news, to the news media when they were outside the prison when she was leaving out. And she made her little statement, and it stirred up it stirred up some interest, and people started getting on board. And then they show Naomi at a with her guitar singing at a dive, you know, and she's singing about her choices that she's made in her life and how she's got to believe that tomorrow's another day, and it was a nice song. And at the same time, they're showing Lauren. She's on the news and she's asking the governor of Nevada to meet. She wants to meet with the governor of Nevada so he can review the facts of Ronnie's case personally. And at the same time, Jill is yelling, "Oh, hashtag justice for Ronnie" is trending on Twitter. And so the governor's office reaches out to Lauren, and they want to meet with her. And she gets dressed up and goes back to Nevada. She has this beautiful pink suit, skirt suit with some white shoes, and she had a little attaché case, and she was sitting there waiting for him. And they kept her waiting just about all day to meet with him. And the next thing you know, his assistant comes out and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. He had an important meeting he had to do and he has to go." And she was like, "What?" And Lauren like went in a little bit on the lady, and she said, "I think the governor weighed his options, like he really didn't care basically, but he wasted Lauren's time sitting there all that time pretending that he was going to do something and he did nothing." And so Lauren went back home and she was disgusted and she gave up because she had been making phone calls and asking people to tweet and all that stuff. She was really trying to help him and she feel like she failed and she gave up. She said it was none of her business anyway. Why did she even bother getting involved? And, Jill kept trying to talk to her and push her to do the right thing, that what she was doing was the right thing. And she just really didn't feel happy with herself. She, like I said, she felt like she had failed and she was laying in the bed and she basically kicked Jill out of her room and told her to get out. So then we have the ladies, they're all downstairs discussing. That's Jill, Naomi, and Valeria. They're discussing who will perform with them at the Hall of Fame event. And Eric comes downstairs and said, Missy is in. I guess he talking about Missy Elliott. He said Lauren Hill's people keep blowing him up. So, Naomi's like, this may be our final performance. We got to go with who can rock with us the hardest. And Valeria's like, but they must embody Bree's spirit and soul. And then Jill jumps in and said, you know what? She said, our group is what it is because we're special, because of our chemistry. She said, we're like family. And she said, you don't get to just come up in there in our family. You got to earn your spot to be a part of the family. So she said she wanted somebody who she thought deserves it and has shown who they are as family. And the next thing you know, they're sitting there talking to Muffin, well, Lauren Muffin Rice, as they had it on the news. And they're talking to her, and it just was so beautiful, the stuff that they were saying to her. Like, you gave us a stage when we needed it, and now you're in need of an audience. And, we just feel this is right, how you gave us our second chance, and we owe you. And we'd be, honored to share a stage with you. And Muffin was sitting there with a tear coming down her eyes, but Jill said, we'll share the stage with you as long as you don't give up on Ronnie, which means they gave her that audience she needed to make that statement or whatever she was feeling in her soul about the criminal justice system and what was about to happen, to Ronnie Mills. So then Muffin agreed. She said, okay, I'll do it. She said, but wait, y'all can't be doing none of that old lady choreograph y'all be doing. We got to turn it up. And they started laughing. I was like, Valeria's like, no, you didn't, But they were like, okay. And then they showed them rehearsing their steps and everything, and they were getting it all together. I said, this was so nice. And the next thing what are we seeing? We are seeing, they're still waiting for the results if JoJo is Eric's child. And if so, will Eric now go back to, proposing to Naomi? Because I was wondering about that. So here we are at the event, and they show Remy Ma. Well, I'm sorry, Lady Z on this show. She's doing the introduction of the nasty bitches, and she's looking real cute and stuff. You could tell by the pictures I took. And they're backstage, hugging each other in their robes, and everybody's got tears in their eyes with all the stuff she's been saying. And then they let Lauren go out first in this like orange jumpsuit she wearing. I said, I wonder if that's just because she started talking about the prison reform and what's happening with Ronnie, which was a great audience for her to have. So that's why that was one of the cliffhangers, because we don't know whatever happened, or will they even address that in the next season, if there's a next season, of what happened with her plea and calling for help for Ronnie. So then after Lauren finishes with her part, and everybody, the audience is clapping and stuff, they about to have the ladies all come out, and it interrupts with Bree. They have Bree on a big flat screen, and she's talking about her life with the group, and but because what happened is she changed her mind at the airport. She changed her mind. That's why they needed somebody to step in for her. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that part earlier. She changed her mind when she got to the airport, wasn't ready to come back. And so they needed somebody to step in for her. And that's how Little Muffin got the position. But I also like that Muffin put up the phone number to the governor's office and told people to call. It was on a big screen, push, push. And she said to keep calling and let him know that in the land of freedom, we do not execute innocent people. And she said he has the power to stop this execution. And she also had Ronnie's picture up there alongside of the phone number. So that was cool how they used that platform. That was excellent idea. Totally excellent. Then after that, like I said, Bree said her part, and then the girls went out and did their thing. What was funny was while they out there doing their thing, you see Naomi looking over to the side, off stage, and she sees her daughter JoJo walk over to Eric and show him the phone, her cell phone. The results came back, which means, and they were hugging each other, which means he was her father. And then I said, Naomi had time to see that, peep that while in the middle of dancing, and she went back to her doing her steps and everything. And it was all good. And they were shining. They were shining like the stars that they are. And Muffin did her thing, standing in for Bree. And she did say, I'm not Bree, but they said nobody is Bree. And she was so honored to have that position and do her thing out there. And it went over well. It was so wonderful. And then at the end, they in the back and they're all talking. And Eric took this opportunity to ask Naomi to marry him. He got down on one knee, and I thought she wasn't going to ask him. Last night, my TV cut off. I'm glad I rewatched this show, because this time it shows that not only did she accept, they got married 4 months later, and it was a beautiful service. I wish I could had time to just recite the words and everything that they were saying to each other, but he basically told her, it's always been you, and this time it's with a family. You made me a father, and she was telling him how his words were corny and stuff, but she does love him, and she just knows that this time it would be better because they are family with the added JoJo. And that's how it went down. I was like, this was so nice. I did like this part. But then while they're sitting at the reception talking, she gets a text from Brianna with a picture of them. That's all it was a picture of them. And they said, well, what does that mean? And they were like, we don't know. What does it mean? Next thing you know, they're on tour, and they're at Madison Square Garden. Oh, I live about like 20 minutes from there. So in the city. So they were at Madison Square Garden, and they were introducing, I guess they were on their tour, and what's her name? Valeria was saying right before that, how it's lonely on her tour. Yeah, she might be selling out each night, but she goes back to her trailer or her dressing room, and she's by herself, and she missed putting her arms around her girls. But anyway, so they showed them, they're introducing each one individually, Naomi, then Valeria, then Jill, and then it just goes off. They never say Brianna's name, but it goes off, leaving us wondering, did she come back? What's going to happen? Will there be another season? We got to rally around this. We need another season of Queens, y'all, because as of today, like I said earlier, there is nothing about a new season coming out, but there also is nothing saying they have been canceled. So let me know if I missed anything, how y'all felt about this show, this episode. Oops, I forgot to say that in that scene when they were all sitting around the table at the end of Eric and Naomi's reception, we learned that Jill had taken over signing all of these new acts to Nasty Girl Records. And Eric said, she took my job. And JoJo said, it wasn't a hard bar to, like she made a joke on it, like it wasn't hard to do. He's like, yeah, okay. And then we learned that Lauren got into USC, I guess that's University of Southern California, that she wrote her paper on Ronnie's stay execution being pushed back. And so they were feeling it, and she got accepted. She said, I'm going to be a normal person, y'all. And of course, Valeria's like, is that really something that could happen? You be normal. So that was wonderful. And I just wanted to add that part in. So let me know what you thought about this episode and write your comments below. This your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.